hearse drives down a quiet street. Black umbrellas. Somber faces. Suddenly, the camera pans to a shadowy figure standing behind a tree, watching his own funeral. Everyone thought he was dead. Gone. A victim of the mob he once worked for. But just when they buried him, he came back. Not as a ghost, but as a man who'd orchestrated the impossible. This is a wild, true story of betrayal, deception, and revenge. A man who faked his own death to escape the Mafia and showed up at his own funeral. His real name wasn't even Mark Russo. That was the name he took when he first became involved with the Lussetti family, a powerful New Jersey-based Mafia clan, known for money laundering, arms trafficking, and a ruthless code of silence. But long before he was Mark, he was Elias Romano, a gifted accountant from Queens with a boring life and brilliant mind. Numbers made sense to him. People didn't. His first mistake? Saying yes to a private client who needed help cleaning up some financial records. That client was Johnny Lussetti, heir to the Lussetti family. Before long, Elias was pulled deep into the mob world. He wasn't a killer. He never held a gun. But he was laundering tens of millions through fake charities, offshore accounts, and crypto wallets. And the money kept flowing. Until one day, he made a second mistake. He asked too many questions. One night, after a business dinner with a family at a steakhouse in Trenton, Johnny leaned in and said, "You're too smart for your own good, Mark. You ask questions like a Fed." That was the moment Elias knew he was in danger. He had noticed something odd. Transfers that bypassed the usual laundering routes. Funds vanishing into accounts not tied to the family. Even to law enforcement charities. Was someone in the family feeding the feds? Was Johnny himself cutting side deals? Elias did the unthinkable. He quietly copied the records. Not to expose them, but to protect himself. But the Lussettis noticed. Within a week, his apartment had been tossed. His phone was tapped. A black SUV followed him everywhere. One morning, he found a note under his windshield. Loose lips drowned in cement. He had to get out. But there was only one way a man ever left the Lussetti family alive. He had to die. Elias wasn't just smart. He was calculated. He made contact with an underground network that specialized in identity erasure. Ex-spies, former hackers, people who didn't ask questions. It cost him everything, his bank accounts, his name, his fingerprints. But they promised him a clean break. Step 1, create a body. He found a man, a loner, terminally ill, no family. Elias paid for his final weeks in comfort. When the man passed, Elias made it look like a mob hit. Fire, staged evidence, a burned-out car near the Jersey Pier. Dental records swapped. Case closed. The news hit fast. Lussetti accountant found dead. Mob connection suspected. Johnny never attended the funeral, but other family members did. They believed it. Everyone believed it. Everyone except one person, his younger sister, Lena Romano, who showed up at the funeral wearing black, but with eyes full of fire. He couldn't resist. Elias stood in the rain, across the cemetery under a gray hood, watching his own funeral from behind a tree. There were no tears, only hushed whispers. Johnny's right-hand man made a quick sign of the cross and left early. But Lena stayed. She approached the casket and placed a photo of them as kids on top. She whispered something the wind barely carried. "You better not be dead, Eli. I'll find out if you are." That moment shattered him. He realized he had faked his death, but killed his family's trust. He had saved his life, but destroyed everything else. Now officially dead, Elias took on a new identity. David Monroe, a freelance data security expert in Toronto. He lived in a modest apartment, grew a beard, dyed his hair, and avoided social media like the plague. For months, he stayed quiet, invisible, but guilt is a loud companion. And it got even louder when he learned that Lena had been arrested, suspected of being involved in a supposed laundering scheme. The feds had nothing on Johnny, but Lena, who worked in logistics for the Lussetti companies, became their scapegoat. The news crushed him. He hadn't just disappeared. He had left her to take the fall. He knew what he had to do. Elias flew back under the radar. Border crossing with a fake passport. He knew returning could mean instant death. But he had a plan. He had evidence. Years of financial documents he had stored on an encrypted drive before he disappeared. The same documents that could bring down the Lucetti empire. But he needed help. So he reached out to Maya Singh, the same investigative reporter who had brought down a charity scam just a year earlier. You might remember her from another story. He revealed everything. His former life, his death, his reason for coming back. Maya agreed to help, but she warned him, if you go public with this, there's no going back. They'll hunt you. His response? They already buried me once. I've got nothing left to lose. Maya published the story in 2 parts. Part 1. Dead accountant returns with secrets that could destroy New Jersey's most dangerous mafia. Part 2. Inside the mind of a man who faked his death to save his sister. It exploded. Federal agents reopened the investigation. Lena was released on bond. Johnny Lucetti and several of his captains were indicted. Elias, now very much alive, testified in a secure federal courtroom with heavy protection. He gave them everything: names, offshore accounts, laundering schemes, even video footage from old meetings secretly recorded on a smartwatch. The trial took months. The Lucetti empire began crack. Johnny was convicted on multiple federal charges. The judge called it one of the most significant organized crime takedowns in state history. But freedom came at a cost. Elias couldn't live a normal life. His face was now known. His story had gone viral. And the Mafia, what remained of it, would never forget he entered witness protection. Again, a new name, a new country. He kept in contact with Lena, now working as a cyber consultant herself. Legally this time, they spoke on encrypted calls. No more lies between them. A man in a distant land, watching the sun rise, writing in a journal. A photo of 2 kids tucked into the page. He faked his death to escape a life he never wanted. But in the end, he came back. Not for revenge, not for justice, but for family. Because sometimes, to truly live, you have to bury the version of you that should have died long ago. He showed up at his own funeral. But what he really came to do was make peace with the past. Subscribe for more wild, true stories of survival, betrayal, and redemption